You felt watched because you were not paranoia, prophecy. Their obsession needed technology. God's love needs none. You didn't lose them. They just hid behind wires. They couldn't let you go, so they followed in silence. You forgave them, unaware they never truly left. It's not fear you feel, it's recognition. They know your steps, but not your soul. The device is new, but the longing is ancient. Your name became their map, their madness. They track what they can't hold. The one who left you still walks behind you. God showed them who you are. They chose control. Love turned into surveillance the moment they couldn't reach your spirit. You became their prayer and their punishment. Not all hauntings were white. Some blink red beneath your skin. They wanted closure. They chose obsession. Your peace exposed their chaos. They couldn't protect you, so they watched you. You are not crazy. You are being hunted. The one who said, "I love you," still watches every move. You left the door closed. They crawled through signal. A soul still bound to you doesn't always knock. They know where you are, not who you've become. The silence was never empty. It listened. They mistook God's child for something they could own. You became their religion, but they chose worship through wire. There's a reason you don't sleep deeply. You sense the watching because your soul remembers being hunted. They wanted to see you healed without healing themselves. God said release. They chose to remain hidden. This isn't romance. It's residue. You trusted. They tracked. Your light turned into their obsession. Their grief is invasive. You ran from pain. They followed it. A part of them broke when you stopped explaining. They lost access to your voice, so they claimed your echo. This isn't about you. It's their refusal to lose. You were love. They became fear. Forgiveness is not consent to surveillance. Not all who watch you want your healing. Your boundaries became the walls they tried to climb. You are not to be decoded. You are divine. Their device won't find the part of you that outgrew them. They watched to see if you'd cry. You bloomed instead. You became unreachable, so they clung to your trail. What haunts them isn't your face, it's your freedom. They don't miss you. They miss control. They didn't track you to protect you. They tracked you to possess. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Comment your favorite quote and subscribe for more. They watched because your healing offended their wounds. You didn't change. You ascended beyond their reach. They couldn't decode what God encrypted. You thought you were forgotten, but obsession never sleeps. Their grief became your shadow. The device was meant to locate. It exposed. You are not GPS coordinates. You are sacred ground. The ones who lost you never really let go. They planted fear where God planted intuition. What follows you isn't them. It's their regret. They know your path, not your purpose. You are a prophecy, not a project. They don't want closure. They want access. Some people track what they should repent for. The watching won't stop the rising. You were their light. They turned it into a searchlight. They monitor your movement, unaware you've already left. What they track is their failure to stay. You moved on. They moved to surveillance. You glowed. They grabbed. Some can't let go without watching you leave. You stopped replying. They started tracing. You healed, and they hated the silence. Their love expired. Their obsession didn't. They didn't miss you. They missed control. You closed the chapter. They reopened it with spyware. What they planted wasn't a gift. It was a device. You said goodbye. They hid in your signal. God sees, but he doesn't invade. Your spirit whispered, "Watch," and you felt eyes before evidence. Not all tracking leaves a mark. Some leave soul bruises. They couldn't understand you, so they observed you. What they couldn't touch, they followed. Your name still lives in their searches. They listened for heartbreak, heard resilience. The one who broke you still checks for your pieces. They follow your joy like it owes them something. The device is only a symptom. The sickness is soul deep. You were the altar. They became the thief. They wanted to witness the breaking. Instead, they saw glory. You took back your silence. They tracked it. What was once love became code. Not every watcher deserves your compassion. The one watching isn't curious. They're convicted. They didn't want truth, just your trace. What they track is the version of you that doesn't exist anymore. You are not their unfinished story. You were surveillance proof the moment you chose healing. They follow the scent of your strength. They're not tracking to find. They're tracking to relive. Some connections end. Others go undercover. They stop talking, but they never stopped listening. You stopped reaching. They started spying. Your boundary created their obsession. They track your shadow. God guards your soul. You walked away. They wired the exit. The one who left kept their eyes open. They don't want you free, but heaven does. You stopped replying, so they followed the silence. Their curiosity is not your responsibility. You weren't wrong. You were warned. You're not paranoid. You're prophetic. You burned the bridge. They set up camp in the ashes. They wanted to be near you without being known. They don't know how to lose you honestly. You were love. They became shadow. The device doesn't carry love, only lack. The moment you healed, they panicked. They wanted a version of you that didn't rise. God said, let them watch. You will not be touched. They think they're close, but your soul is light years away. You can't be possessed, only witnessed. What watches you can't hold you? Their longing broke every boundary. You are holy. They are hunting. You escaped, but their eyes didn't. Love doesn't install devices. Fear does. They were never yours, but they still track what they couldn't contain. The real you walked out when they started hiding. They want what they lost. Without owning why, you felt the chill. It wasn't weather, it was memory. They moved on, but not really. What watches you cannot wound you anymore? You outgrew their reach. Your protection cannot be penetrated by devices. They used tech. You used prayer. You are being watched, but heaven watches too. Their attachment outlived its invitation. They carry guilt disguised as data. You are not theirs to follow. You vanished. They downloaded. Their grief turned digital. You didn't disappear. You ascended. Their device hears nothing. You speak in soul now. They think they still have access, but they're listening to echoes. They wanted to know you. They chose to watch you. You're no longer visible to their old eyes. Love doesn't spy. It shows up. They fear you've moved on. You already have. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Comment your favorite quote and subscribe for more.